Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 688. Now, in this episode, we're talking about how we can change or allow our wounds to be our wisdom. I really feel if we can actually accomplish this together, life will never be the same again. Now, if you're new listening to this on the podcast or a long-time listener, this is being broadcasted live on Facebook and YouTube, so please go ahead and join us if you would like to be a part of the pre-show and the after show, because I like to get to know you a little bit more. As I said, this episode is all about turning our wounds into wisdom. And I think it's very, very important to start off very cleanly and clearly as to why this is important. Number one, we all go through so many different things in our life. Some of those events and situations have been horrific. Some of those things and events that we go through, what people did to us, or it's just life, can cause us a lot of pain. And that pain shows up. I sometimes think about it as like we're collecting these experiences, and if we don't resolve them or integrate them, we just feel more conflicted and more separated from ourselves. And I sometimes also think about life in this way. I was considering it today, that like we come into this world in such a wholesome way. Like we're fresh, we don't have life's experiences. We don't know what we don't know, we're learning all the time, and then in sociology, like the first 7 years, they call it the imprint age, and then it gets into modeling between 7 and 14, but let's just take it as we start in life like whole. We're just so innocent and so pure. And then as we go through life, we go through these events. And it's almost like we're collecting them. Now, there's so many good and great ones. The times when we've got achievements and happiness and we've shared great and emotional, wonderful tears with one another, when we've had intimacy, where we've actually connected with someone, or we've gone for our goal and we hit it. And on the contrary, there's other experiences too, which is quite the opposite. That's the resistance that we're talking about today, the pain that we go through. But going back to the analogy of when we come into this world as whole, and then we kind of go through certain events, and sometimes we can't get over them, or we can't really process it. But I think our goal and dream, or maybe something just like at a higher level, there's just my personal truth, one of our goals is to get back into the wholeness. So we start in wholeness, and then we collect all these events and significant emotional events and the pains. And I think it's our goal and our job to be able to integrate them back into wholeness again. Therefore, we have life experience. You see, as life experience is a collection of different emotions based on how we interact in the world, there's something to be said that those emotions that we feel are just a human experience. But it's our job and our ability, it's our responsibility to be able to really process them. Because you are so resilient. Look, you're here. You survived. Even though we've gone through those events, you're here in this moment. And I think you being in this world just makes the world that bit more special. That's my belief once again. And I would hate for us to carry on keeping these emotions, carrying on and feeling this way, when there's a way that we can actually process them. And it may sound super, super easy, and I'm not trying to make it out that it is easy, because it is a journey. Life is a journey. But how we turn our wounds into wisdom is to, number one, make a declaration that that past situation, that past is not going to define who we are. If someone has done something bad to us, or we've gone through events that really hurt us, which caused us that pain, I think it's our job, it's our responsibility to take that and make something from it. You see, that can be the ingredients that can create something beautiful. In times of stress and times of turbulence, I believe it is an opportunity for all of us. So if you're going through a painful situation, if you're going in this darkness, realize that you can change, that you can be the light in the darkness. Because look, if there's light in the darkness, no darkness can put that out. The light will always be there. And as long as we're breathing, as long as we have that will, as long as we have that determination and that resilience, which I know you have because you're here, we can actually utilize and make our life so profoundly great that when we look back over the past, it actually becomes something that I made this, I got through it. I became the example of what can be done. And although I never went through tons of trauma growing up, I just didn't, and I'm very thankful that I didn't. But I still felt so scared growing up. I was also so fearful of my own ability, of what I could and could not do. I didn't feel like I was enough. And even if we didn't go through those events and we feel that way, or we did go through those events and we feel that way now, that we don't feel enough or worthy or deserving or capable or of value, I know what it's like to be there. But I also have the gratitude of having got through it too. So now, having processed and learned, I can see the other side of it, and that makes me feel like that. And it sounds weird, and you may not get it, but I'm so grateful for my anxiety. I'm so grateful for that pain that I was in growing up. It didn't feel like it at the time, of course, and I would never have thought that at the time. But what I can tell you is that pain and those emotional and psychological wounds that I had caused me to wake up. It became the instigator of my transformation. Because if everything was good and great, I wouldn't be doing what I am today. I wouldn't be the person I am today. Those wounds, I can actually hold them, wear them, and utilize them as experience and lessons and learnings and wisdom. So the events that we go through can be our power. It doesn't have to disempower us. It doesn't have to be and cause us to be the victim. Because if we start to decide that, okay, that's it, I'm just going to be the victim, we don't serve the world, we don't serve our children, we don't serve our friends or our work or our business in any way whatsoever. We've got to get out of that victim mode, no matter if we were the victim. Because I want us to get into a place where we go, even though I went through these events and even though I experienced this pain, that I got through it. I learned from it. I became an example in the most wonderful and most amazing, unique way. In that furnace, I didn't melt. But I was forged in that essence. I was forged to be something more. So I honestly like to think that those trials and tribulations that I went through were things that allowed me to wake up and advance my learning and my growth. Allow me to be able to go through situations that will serve me in the future. So I wear those wounds. I talk about those wounds. As I said, I've talked about the pain that I went through. And hopefully because of that, I can hopefully inspire someone or help someone to get through it too. So you too can be the example of what can be done by showing others the way. Because I would hate for us to bring that into our family or our children. Because even though they may not see it, they do see it unconsciously and subconsciously. So the quicker we get out of this pain, the quicker we decide to be something more. Where we take that decision to be the victor of our life, that we can create something because of this, that in this turmoil we can actually become the innovators and the creators and the designers of our life. And I don't know why things happen in life, I don't know why events happen, but what I will say is that I'm going to learn from it, I'm going to grow from it, I'm going to even thank my lessons, thank my past so they become lessons. So I want you to think about this. Even though we've gone through all these different events, even though we've gone through all these different pains, the one question we got to ask ourselves is, what can I learn from this? What has to be learned that once learned will set me free? Because if we hold on to anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, resentments, we're not processing that emotion. Those wounds that we hold in are going to contaminate our body. Sometimes people say, I can't remember the exact words, but having hatred or anger for someone else is like having poison for them, but drinking it ourselves. So isn't it better to process those wounds, to process our experience, to process those emotional wounds by learning? Because not only does your unconscious mind have to let them go once you've learned from them, because it's a better way of being safe, but it's actually a better way of being safe in the future, because those learnings become your future. So every time you go into that new situation where in the past you may have faltered or failed or felt like you were just not enough, you go and go, look, I've got these learnings. These learnings will protect me. These learnings will give me permission to show me my power. Those wounds are going to be my strength. Those wounds are going to allow me to be the example of what can be done, but it will never happen again because I'm going to learn from it, I'm going to grow from it, and I'm going to become stronger because of it. This is what we've got to do as a psychology and a physiology to get to where we want to be. I don't want you to ever give up on life. I don't want you to give up on your dreams because of the past. That doesn't make sense to me. It is so easy to give up, and it's so much harder to keep on moving forward. But when you do, when you start to really go all in on your happiness, when you go all in on getting the freedom that you desire, you will look back and realize that I did this. I made that change. I learned from this, I grew from this, and I became the product of what I want to become. I've always said, rather being a product of life, allow life to be a product of what you choose to create. It is now time to start choosing your words, your lessons carefully, because those wounds can be healed. You just have to learn from them. And it's not just necessarily a conscious upgrade, a conscious learning. It's about getting the unconscious, so don't worry if it takes time. We've had this for all our life, or a long time of our life. So if it takes a few weeks, it takes a couple of months, it takes a year, depending how you change, what you do to change. But even if it happens and you learn from it and you grow, you become that example. We should wear those battles not as emotional kind of aspects which hold us back, but we should hold those wounds as that I lived through this and I got better because of this. I had the contrasting experience. I had the contrasting experience of the pain and the darkness, and now I have that contrast of knowing what it's like to live and be different, to show my power, to show up in such a most wonderful, beautiful way that people see you for who you are. I do not want you to shrink your light because of the past and because of the wounds. I want you to shine it brighter because of them. I really believe, and I say this all the time, but I really believe in you so much. You have such a profound ability to change because you are so resilient. You are here, you're alive. If you've gone and looked at other people who have gone through maybe far worse things than me, far worse things than you, and they got through it, they have that level of resiliency. They have that, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to make my life better. I'm going to make my life so profoundly beautiful that when I look back at the past, I'm like, I did this. I went through this pain to be who I am today. And I'm not giving people excuses of what they did to us. I'm not saying that. In fact, I'm saying quite the contrary, because I'm saying you're not going to give in to those people. You're not going to give in to your past. You are showing them that what happened does not have to remain a scar within us emotionally. we can actually cause them and show other people in the world or show our past that we are more powerful than we think. Whatever you think you are always more. So remember, as we go through life, we came into this world in such a wholesome way, a blank slate, and then we go through life to experience. We go through life a kaleidoscope of experiences and emotions, but they don't have to define you, so learn. Remember that question, what do I need to learn from this? That once I learn, will not only allow me to be safer, but will allow me to have those learnings in the future so I don't have to go through this again. We have warranted emotions and we have unwarranted emotions. Keeping that old wounds is not warranted to me. Like if we're going through grief right now because it's recent, I get it. We've got to process it. But if we're holding on to these emotions for such a long time, it is not good for our body. It does not help us. If we think of what stress does to the body, it breaks it down. There's an incongruency, there's a dis-ease of the body. There's a disorder of the system. And if we think about what that does to the body, it's not good for us. So our goal and our intention should really be like, what can I do to process this? Am I going to listen to a hypnosis track every single day? Am I going to get help from someone, where it be someone personally who you know, or someone in your local area, someone who is good and competent, who understands who you are and where you're heading? Maybe who's been there as well, because they usually have the answer. And I know you have the answer within you. I know you have everything you need to turn those wounds into wisdom by being the example of what can be done and learning from that experience. They will only remain in our body. I'd like to be very clear on this. Yes, we'll still remember the events, but we won't look back and feel that horribleness, the emotion there. We'll look back more objectively. And because we've learned, we'll be going, look, I went through this, but I became better because of it. I refuse to give in, give up, or allow those events or those people to dictate my heart, my happiness, my future. That is something which is inbuilt into us. We are built to survive and to evolve and to grow. Your unconscious mind is always wanting to learn, and that's why you're here watching or listening to this. So it's not like it's not possible. It's about knowing that I've got all the information that I need within me. I've just got to put it together to complete it. I've got to process it and learn from this and be the example. And we all have that. I promise you, in every single way, you have the ability to change and be that example. That your heart is so much stronger than you think. Your resiliency is so much stronger than you think. I think we've just been beaten down a little bit too much. I feel like we've gone through many, many things, but don't allow that to stop you. Don't have that poison and drink it ourselves. Throw it away. Go all in on learning and growing and being the person that you deserve and absolutely desire to be. This is your opportunity. It all starts now. Do whatever it takes. Decide, declare, commit to something bigger and greater. You were not put here or even through those events to just give up. I don't believe that's true. I believe that we can get meaning and lessons and learnings from those events. And it will show your true light. It will show your true power. It will show you what you're made up of. And you've done the worst parts because you went through it. And by worse, I mean the bad part, the thing which doesn't make us feel good. We've gone through that now. And if we've gone through it, that means we're partly on the other side. Maybe not fully and completely because we're on the other side of the event, which is good and great because we don't want to still be in that situation. But the fact that we are through that event, it's now time to start that mission of learning and growing, integrating back into oneness, Going back to that core state of being where you are so self-certain, where you have the ability to do whatever you choose. That goal, that dream, that's yours. That is what I want from you. That is where I want you to be. And I always say, look, whereas my work or someone else's, I just want you to be that example, because the other thing is this: when you do, and I've said this already in this episode, that you become the example, but you become the example from near and at a distance. Like, you will not see the changes in someone by you being the example all the time. It's like a ripple in a pond. You are the pebble which makes that transformation, and suddenly by you being the transformation, those ripples go far and wide, and you'll see them sometimes. Maybe it's when your child who looks back at you and just sees you as the warrior, as the person who made things happen. Where it be your partner, where it be your siblings who just look up to you and go, oh my goodness, you got through it. You inspired me to be more, having gone through that you are the example. So I get it. That is the visible. That is the feedback. And we may not always take it on as truth, which is fine, because look, that means we're more humble, right? But it doesn't mean we should dismiss it, honor it once you become that example. And the other thing is the invisible ripples you do not see. When you are showing up being the authentic self, you're giving permission for others to do the same, because they see the experience, they see the contrary example from where they are to where they're gonna be. And to me, that is what I want. I want to be able to help people who I cannot see. Hence the podcast, hence the videos, all of those things. But even if it's not at that level in terms of a technology, you're doing it in every time when you step outside your front door. You show people through your physiology, through your tonality, through your words, the way you show up every day. Even if they don't know your wounds, they still see someone who is so authentically powerful and beautiful because they stepped into that authenticity. They stepped into that power. They stepped into that presence. That is what you have. So let's give up any, and I understand why they can be valid, but don't hold on to reasons. Don't hold on to excuses. Don't hold on to those wounds any longer, because it makes us feel like we're justifiable for better staying the same. Those wounds do not have to validate our present existence. Those past significant emotional events do not have to validate and hold us back. Give up that. Give up those reasons, because otherwise you're giving the past and people and the events the power. Not anymore, my friend. We do something more today. We show the past what we're made of. We make decisions now to look for our future self. This is what happens. So I hope you got some value, realize that in that darkness you can be the light. You can, in every single way. You're no different from anyone else who's done it before. They may be ahead of you, but you're ready to get up there as well. And then for those people who have then become behind of you, you inspire them to do the same thing. Enlighten the illusionary darkness. Enlighten it. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, if you need free help in any way, just go to freehypnosis.com. Sorry, freehypnosis.app. You can download the app in the Play Store, the iPhone store. If you go to freehypnosis.app, it'll show you the direct link to that. And you can listen to all these hypnosis sessions that I do within the app. Over 100, well over 600 free episodes. You can unlock the whole app for a one-time small payment. You can listen the day, you can listen the night, to get that love back on your side, to be able to process those wounds and turn them into wisdom. And of course, if you're enjoying this, please support us in doing that. Leave a review, and therefore we can help more people who need it, who are wounded, who we're going to turn into warriors. Together as a group, from a near, from a distance, we can actually inspire a whole paradigm shift. There's something that we weren't taught maybe at school or even as an adult, that we have the ability to shine, the ability to be the example in the most amazing brilliant way. And finally, and this is very specific, if you are a person of high driven in your career, business, or entrepreneur, and you experience the imposter syndrome, you don't feel good enough, worthy, or capable, you have the anxiety, the worries, and the doubts, you can go ahead and book your call at josephclough.info/talk. At josephclough.info/talk, we'll get clear on exactly where you are, where you want to be, what's getting in your way. And then if we can get you to where you want to be, we'll offer you an opportunity to enroll in the program. There is an investment because it's fully customized to your needs. You're working with me and my team. So go to josephclough.info/talk to be able to do that. And with that, my friends, I wish you the very best of the rest of your day. And I look forward to speaking to you in a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye.